facility we have. So, GGC managed to, I think they bought about 3,000 tons, 3,000 to 4,000 tons, most of it was used as seed nuts. This year, what did they do? Despite the fact that their mandate has ended since 31st of October, they wrote to this office recommending a price. And I made it very clear that I'm not going to accept their price, so I increased it. Only to realize that we can even increase the price to 16,500. To my utter dismay, I spoke to GGC, and they told me that because the ASPA recommended a lesser price, and I added 2,000 to the price. When I consulted with GGC, I was shocked to know that ASPA did not even consult GGC in terms of the pricing, the selling, buying price, or the date of commencement and close of groundnut buying season. And then at the same time recommended that government should put in a subvention. To subvent who? I made it very clear that the only agency, in fact your mandate is over and we have nothing to do with you. So, now I told GGC, okay, you can announce the new price, and which they have announced. That is, if you are selling it at the, I think, if they are buying it outside, I think it's 16,000. But if you are bringing it to GGC, transport it yourself, it's a higher price. And I'm very happy because my objective is to make sure that nobody regrets going into agriculture. Guess what happened? Then people wanted to politicize it and started talking to GGC that, oh, this guy is a political heavyweight, you must give him money. GGC is not allowed to give money to anybody. They are authorized to get their own loyal buying agents, pay them. Why would you give somebody who has nothing to do but sit at home and employ somebody else and make money at the end of the day, at the detriment of the farmers? This is not going to happen. Wastage of government funds will no longer happen anymore. Those who are just sitting around hanging for program and getting it, they are no longer going to get it. So I warn those politicians, I know that I don't want to name them, it is not the business of the National Assembly to talk to GGC. GGC is under the office of the President and the Ministry of Agriculture. And to tell GGC that, oh, you must give, who are you to say you must give? And there's one particular person who is notorious for this. But if he continues, you will soon have not only a by-election in his constituency, but I will lock him up. Because you want to encourage lazy people that are doing nothing, unpatriotic and dishonest people to be giving money to go and spend the way they like it at the expense of farmers. This is not going to happen. So as from now onwards, Gambia government buying agency is GGC, and GGC would go and buy the grammars. I'm not saying there shouldn't be any operator, but let me also make it very clear that nobody is going to export raw nuts out of this country. You have to process it, add value, otherwise the nuts are not going anywhere. Because last year I insisted on this, and somehow they allowed these people to ship the nuts out of the country. They only decorticated the nuts and sent it out. This year it's not going to happen. So can you imagine some people just sitting around doing nothing at the Bantaba, and if I even opposing government, and then turn around and be giving benefits? This is not going to happen. ASPA is dead, and it's dead forever. They can buy if they have the money. I'm not saying nobody should buy. But if you buy the groundnut with the intent to export it as it is, you are making a grave mistake. So you can see what I go through as the head of this government. Okay, so agro-processing. It is unfortunate that business people in this country are just, 98% are just warehouse business, wholesale and retail. They don't want to take any risk.
Especially in the productive sectors of the economy.
The productive sectors of the economy. The best businessman is the one who takes risks. Success is measured by the risks you have taken, not the easy money that you make. But here, all what we have is just importing and re-exporting or retailing. And so manufacturing, very few people are in the manufacturing business. But what I want to assure you is that, when you talk to these financial institutions, Bretton Woods institutions, they tell you, oh, leave it to the private sector. I'm not going to leave it to the private sector. Gambia government would invest in agro-processing. But I won't tell you when and where and how. But obviously, if you don't process, you realize that when they export nuts, they're only exporting one commodity. But if you process it, you have about 3 byproducts that are very expensive. Granite cake, you can get even more money from granite cake than anything else.
Should somebody ask the question, when will groundnut oil be readily available in the markets where women can buy and cook, so that we desist from using oils that we have no idea as to when or where they are even produced or made up of what?
One thing. Colonialism has left in our psyche a very indelible and detrimental attitude. We believe whatever they tell us is not good. That, oh, granite oil, aflatoxin, this and that, yes. But granite oil is the most expensive, one of the most expensive cooking oils. There's only one supermarket where I used to buy pure granite oil from. And that granite oil was produced by Tullow in UK. It's not available now. Because one, they tell you it's very expensive, and most of the time, you don't have many people buying it. Granite oil, maybe the granite would have come from the Gambia. Now, coming back to your question, should I tell you this or not? I put my own money to set up a refinery because GGC's refinery is gone. So all they do is just provide crude granite oil. Now, I remember in those school days, refined granite oil, what they call dealing salad, you get it only in Tobaski. But most of the time, Gambians cooked crude granite oil, and it was very good. So, I told them, I have a plant that I'm buying. It has a packaging system. And so, I'm putting it at the disposal of GGC to refine all their oil and package it and sell it. If you ask me the question, I will tell you I prefer crude granite oil because that's the best. That is what I grew up with. In those days, we ate crude granite oil, and there was nothing like asthma, diabetes, or obesity. Coming back to the oil that we are talking about, I don't know why some people love anything that is cheap. This oil, they say, sleeps. That somebody has to sit down and shake it all the time.
You wake it.
You wake it up. We had a plant here, Gambej, that was bringing high quality oil and producing it as well and packaging it. But some unscrupulous business people decided to bring in low quality palm oil, which is crude palm oil, which has been bleached. And people stop buying from this one, that is homemade, and buying what is imported because they say, well, more cheap. Buying from this one, that is homemade, and buying what is imported because they say, well, more cheap. What is the consequence of, what is the definition of cheap? I think I would rather spend, so I think Gambians should go for quality, but that doesn't also mean that